Hello and welcome to this week's Chatty Corner. So this week I will mostly be talking about the Game Awards and the PlayStation experience because they were the biggest bits of news in the last week. So yeah, there we go. Well, first of all though, Tomb Raider 3, almost done. As you have clearly seen this week, I did manage to get Velocity of Tinos done, edited, and all sorted for this week. Took me like a whole weekend of just editing like crazy, but I did it. And I got there, and it's good. And everything's recorded now. I've recorded Meteorite Cavern, and I've recorded All Hallows, and it's all done, and I haven't edited All Hallows, but Meteorite Cavern is ready to go for next week. So next week will be Meteorite Cavern, the week after will be All Hallows, and that will of course be Christmas week. Yeah! So we're almost done. At some point next week I will start looking at the next Let's Play properly, and maybe look at getting the first part done for patrons, so there you go. And then obviously that'll be made live in the new year for everybody else. I don't think I've got much else in the way of updates. Advent calendar's still going along quite nicely. Echo the Dolphin was surprisingly popular on day 9, I don't know why. That's got like a ton of comments on it, and some of the other videos got nothing, but that one got loads, so guess people like Echo. It is a good game, but you know, just surprised me that one really grabbed people's attention. But anyway, speaking of the Advent calendar, by the way, ContentID, oh yes, I don't really talk about ContentID too much because my opinions on ContentID are sort of mixed. Like, some people really hate the idea of like content being picked up, but as much as annoying as it is, like, if someone is claiming a song that is their song and chooses to make money off that, then that's fine because it's their song or whatever, and that's something I can live with. That's something that, yeah, it sucks because I can't monetize that video, but let's be honest, this entire channel's on shaky, sort of grey area legal ground anyway. But it's, it's an interesting one, and people are just like, no, any sort of content idea is bad. And I'm like, no. Where it does fall down, though, and it's a serious problem, it's an automated system, and I understand why it's an automated system, because the sheer amount of stuff on YouTube, there is no way that you could physically go through it all and check things. And that's fine. I'm not going to suggest that YouTube start doing that. But they do need to tidy up some of the questionable aspects of it that make it so open to abuse. So, you might have noticed on day 11, which as of recording is the same day, so should be tomorrow, assuming this goes up. No, sorry, it should have been yesterday. It's confusing. You might have noticed that for a chunk of the Bioshock thing, I muted the audio and put a whole load of stuff up. With the Advent stuff, I kind of upload a big chunk of them at once and then schedule them. Day 12 is a little couple of hours late because I uploaded it on the day, but everything else will be normal. The problem is, I uploaded that on like Monday, I think it was, and obviously set it to schedule so it wouldn't go live until the Friday. It got immediately hit with a ContentID match, which was from a company called InGrooves. So I did some research. So I was like, what's it in relation to? And I thought maybe it's something in relation to God Only Knows. Because it's the Beach Boys cover, so maybe something along the way, like, because I know that they used a lot of third-party composers to do the rearrangements of the modern songs, and maybe there's some sort of deal going on there that could tie in with all of this. But it wasn't that. It was, when you're in the lighthouse, and you saw this in the video, you go into the lighthouse and there's this track that plays. It's called That Old Time Religion, and I did some research, and it turns out that this is like an old, really old gospel song. I'm not even sure if people know who the author is anymore because it's so old. The recording used in Bioshock is an original recording from 1873. It was originally recorded on a phonograph and obviously digitized over time for archiving purposes. So my issue is, though, everything that I looked up about this song said to me, this song is in the public domain. I should not have gotten a Content ID strike against that. So I contested this because there is a thing on the dispute form saying the material is in the public domain and I have every right to use it. As a result, because everyone has a right to use public domain stuff, that's what public domain means. It got rejected, and the reason it got rejected is because it turns out the dispute doesn't go to YouTube, it goes to the person who made the original claim. That's stupid. You can't do that. That's basically like a court saying, okay, someone is accusing someone else of robbing them. And the judge basically goes, did you rob them? And they say, oh no, Gov, I didn't do anything. Well, that's case closed then, I guess. You don't do that. What you do is you independently evaluate it to see if it's a legitimate claim. It is not a legitimate claim if the track is in the public domain and they're claiming copyright ownership of it. If it's in the public domain, it's in the public domain, and you can't copyright something that's in the public domain already. You can be Disney and eternally extend your copyright forever so that a piece of work doesn't fall into the public domain. I'm talking about Mickey Mouse here. Notice how the copyright laws seem to get longer and longer and longer. That's all Disney. All of it. Oh yes. That's another topic for another day. Probably not for this channel. But yes, you can't really claim public domain thing. So I thought, well, you know what? Screw this. I'm not going to waste my time going through a dispute process for what is a silly video for an advent calendar type thing. So I basically went back, re-edited the video and re-uploaded it in the form that you see now. This is the problem. Like, there's nothing to stop people abusing the system. There's nothing to stop people going like, oh yeah, we own that public domain piece of work. Fight me for it. You know, and like if the dispute form just goes right back, and apparently I've not gone this far, but apparently if you then appeal, like a rejected dispute, if you appeal that, you have to give your contact details to the person who made the claim. I'm sorry, what? No. YouTube should mediate all of this. It should be their job in the middle. Because, yeah, the Content ID system is automated. The appeal system, the dispute system, none of that is automated. That involves people checking things. This should be YouTube's job, not the claimant's job, because the claimant's, of course, going to deny any wrongdoing if all they're doing is going around flagging everything. So, can we fix that, YouTube? Because that's really stupid. And basically, you've got this company, InGrooves, they're called. What they do is they go around claiming public domain songs as songs that they own the copyright to, and they claim ad revenue off the back of those songs. And YouTube are allowing this, so I would think that that's something they might want to look into and sort out. But that's just me. But anyway, that's kind of me just complaining about a thing that I dealt with this week. I'm probably going to get a copyright strike from a specific publisher at some point in the near future for an advent calendar video, but that I'm not disputing because it's the publisher. It's a publisher that everyone hates, and that should probably tell you, kind of narrow down what game might be coming very soon. Enough of that. I've currently been playing, I just finished Resident Evil 2. That was fun. I like Resident Evil 2, it was a great game. Had fun with it. And yeah, that was good. I've also been playing Tekken 3, on and off. Trying to complete arcade mode with every character, that's what I'm trying to do right now. And some characters I'm better with than others. I'm not very good at fighting games, but I'm enjoying it. I'm also about to start Banjo-Kazooie, which I've got for my N64, which I've never played before, but I want to see if it's as good as everyone says. I imagine I'll like it. I haven't started it yet though, so I can't comment on it. Maybe next week I'll give you some insight into what I thought. Yeah, cool. That's all I've really got to say about what I'm currently playing. So let's focus on the news. Let's talk about the news that has been going on. Because last week we had the Game Awards and we had the PlayStation Experience. So let's talk about the Game Awards. I'm going to run through all the winners and sort of give my thoughts on what they were. So Best Family Game was won by Super Mario Maker. I can't really argue with that one, because Super Mario Maker is very popular and a lot of people like it. I quite like the look of it myself, and I would definitely be interested in getting it for my Wii U, and it's certainly something the whole family can play around with and have fun with. And there's not really much else that I can think of this year that would fit the bill. You know, Best Fighting Game was Mortal Kombat X. I don't really know much about it, but sure, why not? Best Multiplayer Game was Splatoon. Yes! 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 Did I say yes? Yes. So here's the thing about multiplayer games. I hate multiplayer games most of the time. I will play them for a little bit, think, oh, this is kind of fun, and then play it more regularly, and then be just like, oh, screw this, I'm bored now. It'll get to a point where people who play the game 24/7 are just killing me over and over, and I'm not enjoying myself. I want a sort of game where I can just dip in and out and have fun and have a good time. You know, that's all I want to play a multiplayer game for. Very rarely you get it. Splatoon, I get exactly that. So, there we go. Splatoon wins Best Multiplayer Game. I'm in full agreement with that. Yes. Best Mobile Handheld Game, Lara Croft Go. People have said Lara Croft Go is good. I don't know. And generally I probably wouldn't care about the best mobile game anyway. And so, yeah, sure, why not? Esports Team of the Year, Esports Player of the Year, Esports Game of the Year, whatever. I don't even know who's Optic Gaming. I don't know. I don't care. I don't know who Kenny Shrub is. I don't care. I don't follow this stuff. But good for them, I guess. Yeah. Most anticipated game, No Man's Sky. Yeah, let's really anticipate this game that apparently seems to have no gameplay. I have no idea what you actually do, and this thing has been hyped for 2 years now? And I still don't know what the hell it's about besides big universe. Whoop-de-doo. You get to wander through a big universe and you get to occasionally pick up materials. Now, that's all that we've had for gameplay. It feels like an afterthought. Why are people excited about this? I want to see things happening. I just want to have a big universe. Yeah. Best narrative, Her Story. I haven't played Her Story, but I have watched Voidberger play it, and god damn it, that narrative is terrible. The wind and the rain, and all of that stuff. His fucking magic sperm. Just because it's told out of order doesn't mean that it's good. This is what I've been saying about Quentin Tarantino movies all this time. This is where I get angry comments, but here's the thing, Quentin Tarantino is massively overrated, and I'm going to stick with that opinion. And I think Her Story has the same thing as people with his movies. Just it's clever because it's told out of order, but it's actually really boring. Whatever. Trending Gamer, it was Greg Miller, I don't care. It should be me. I'm not trending, but it should be me anyway. I don't care. Best Indie Game. Best Indie Game was Rocket League. A lot of people are raving over Rocket League. I've not played it. It certainly looks like fun. Can't really think of a reason why it doesn't deserve that. It definitely looks like it. Also won Best Sports/Racing Game, which I find funny because it's the only game that's both. I also find it funny that they didn't have enough games for either the sports category or the racing category, so they just put them together. Games for Impact, Life is Strange. Sure. Life is Strange is interesting on a narrative standpoint, and I certainly, again, most of my experience of this is secondhand. through, again, it's Voidburger, watching her play through it. And it does some very narratively interesting things. Mechanically, it doesn't look that great, and that's why I've not really got much interest in playing Life is Strange. It's more the kind of thing where I'd like to see people, like to watch people play it, because it's more narratively interesting than it is mechanically interesting to play. So, best fan creation, whatever. Developer of the Year, CD Projekt Red for The Witcher 3. I don't know much about The Witcher 3, but have it on good authority that that's a good series. And from everything I've seen about CD Projekt Red, they are very, very good to their fans. They release lots of extra content for free, and they don't do any of the season pass stuff and all that. So that I can give them props for. So yeah, give them that. Best art direction, Ori and the Blind Forest. I really like the look of Ori and the Blind Forest, and in fact it's on my Steam wishlist. So, yes. Because obviously I'm not going to play it on the Xbox One. But it's on Steam, so I'm like, hey, I'll play it on Steam. But yeah, it does look like it's got some good art direction, and, I looked at... That's why it interests me, is because of its art direction. It looks very interesting visually. So I definitely think that's deserved. Best action-adventure game is Metal Gear Solid 5. Everything I've seen about Metal Gear Solid 5 just looks bland in comparison to the rest of the series. And I've heard very mixed things since. But there you go. Best score or soundtrack, Metal Gear Solid 5, whatever. Best performance, Viva Seyfert from Her Story. Really? She's bland. And bearing in mind that this category had Mark Hamill as the Joker, and I'm not really as into the whole, Mark Hamill's Joker is the best thing ever. I'm not really into that, but I'm just like, considering how much people go on and on about his voice, I can't imagine it's that bad, so there we go. I don't know. Again, I think it's this whole thing of like, it's clever. It's doing things differently, but it's not. It's doing things in a way that's pretentious and stupid to hide the fact that it's actually very bland and has nothing to say. It seems to be the thing with Her Story, and people are falling for it a little bit. I don't know. Game of the Year was Witcher 3. I'll give them that. I've not played it, not really interested, not really the kind of thing I'm into, but everyone who has played it seems to be raving about it. And yeah, so I'll give them that. Best role-playing game, also The Witcher 3. Whatever. And best shooter, here we go. Splatoon won best shooter. That came as a surprise. That came out of nowhere. How the hell did Splatoon win best shooter? I would have, I would have thought the Halo 5 fanboys would be rushing out. All the Halo fanboys would be coming along and be like, no, Halo 5 came out this year, so it has to be the best shooter. And, considering how obsessed people are with Destiny, despite the fact that it's really, really, really boring, I would have thought that might have stood a chance. Or what was the other one that was in there? I'm not counting Call of Duty, because I can accept that people are probably sick of it, to the point where they're just like, we'll nominate it, but it's definitely not going to win. What was the other one? Battlefront. That was the one. Battlefront was the other one. And you're just like, hang on a minute, that's Star Wars. And we're like not that far away from the release of the new movie. So that looks like the clear winner, surely. But no. It's Splatoon. It's the colourful cutesy one from Nintendo. Won. That's the best shooter. Am I complaining? Hell no. I'm with him on that one. Out of the 5 games in that category, I'm going to be playing that one. Easily. So, the fact that one's best shooter, I'm like, yeah! It's a pleasant surprise, because I was like, there's no way that Splatoon stands a chance of winning that one. And it won it. So, miracles can happen. Shame about the Her Story wins, really. So, yeah, that's pretty good. Game Awards actually seemed a bit more interesting this year as well, a bit less kind of oh yeah, here's more game trailers, and they actually gave out awards this time, and I'm surprised about that. Hey, there we go. Speaking of things that they did show some world premieres, and of course, the thing that someone actually mentioned this last week. Yeah, Games in Wales mentioned last week. If I don't hear you freak out about Psychonauts 2 next week, I'll be very disappointed. Psychonauts 2 is real! Yes! Okay, so here's the thing about Psychonauts. Psychonauts 1, very good game, very imaginative game. Exactly the kind of thing that I love. Sense of humour was all me. It's all Tim Schafer, but Tim Schafer's sense of humour appeals to me very greatly. And it was a very, very, very interesting, fun platforming experience. Obviously, the meat circus bit at the end, kind of a pain in the ass, but it didn't dampen the rest of the experience. It was very imaginative, lots of stuff going on, but somehow managed to keep a good, coherent mix of stuff. It kept going, and it didn't fall apart at any point. I loved just the whole crazy madness of it all, and there's going to be a second one, and I'm so happy, and I don't even care. There's this whole thing with crowdfunding that's going on with it, and of course Tim Schafer and crowdfunding's already had some issues with Broken Age and all of that, but I'm staying optimistic because I don't care. I'm just happy to see Psychonauts 2 is happening in some form or another. The other bit of news at the Game Awards was that Konami banned Hideo Kojima from collecting the awards for Metal Gear Solid 5. Konami were being terrible? Well. Colour me shocked. I just don't understand them doing that, though. Like, why? What do you hope to achieve? What are you doing? Like, do you think that people are going to go, oh yeah, I see your point. Like, I understand that, he's leaving the company or he's already left the company and all of that stuff. You don't want him representing the brand. Well, how about make this the last time he represents the brand? Because it's his game. He made that game. Let him collect the award for that game to represent that game on stage. And then, yeah. But fair play to Jeff Keighley, Mr. Corporate Gaming himself, for actually just owning up. Yeah, Konami told him not to attend. We got a letter from Konami's lawyers, and it was basically Kojima's not here. We invited him. He said yes, but he's not allowed. So fuck Konami, I guess. Anyway, 2 days later, the PlayStation Experience happened. I couldn't watch it live, and I pretty much didn't watch it live. I didn't watch the actual final thing. In the end, I think I just read through a live blog just to get a sense of some of the general announcements going on. Doesn't look that great. I mean, there were two things that I can talk about, and everything else is just kind of, whatever. Like, I managed to watch the first half an hour of it. I'm not going to talk about the first thing they showed because I'm going to go on to that in a second. But then they went on to Call of Duty and they went on to Star Wars, so I was like, whatever, I'm done. I've got to go out in a second, so I'll come back later and I'll see what's what. But then, like, so much of it was just stuff that I didn't care about, and they devoted so much of it to VR. And I hate VR. And I hate how the industry is getting really, really hyped up about it, despite the fact that not many actual gamers seem to be getting particularly hyped up about it. I don't get why we're back on this front again. Like, I said this with the Kinect, I said this with 3D, I said it with motion controls. Let's be honest, here's the thing with motion controls is it's kind of fun for 5 minutes. Controlling a game exclusively with motion controls, not much fun in the long run, and it ended up with some very shallow experiences. Motion controls have since been toned down and implemented into traditional control schemes, because that seemed to be where they worked best. Funnily enough, It's funny, a natural progression worked better than just straight up changing the whole thing. 3D. 3D, no one talks about 3D anymore. The most we've heard about 3D is that the new Nintendo 3DS has got the head tracking on the 3D. Thing is, still doesn't work for me. My eyes will just not focus on 3D images. It'll just see a blur. And I don't like it. I much prefer just normal HD, thanks. And what was there? What else is there? Kinect. We saw what happened with the Kinect, didn't we? Yeah. And Microsoft was sitting there going, oh, it's the future of gaming, and now nobody wants a Kinect. At all. And now Sony are like pushing the VR thing super heavily, and yet so much of it just looks like fancy tech demos and stuff that's throwing light and colour into your face and making me think, well, why would I spend what is probably going to be about £400 on a headache-inducing device? Because that looks like... I look at VR and that's all I see, is a headache-inducing device. And my thought is, well, 3D doesn't work for me. What makes you think the VR is going to be any better? Because again, it works off the same principle of having two images that you have to focus intently on, so that they kind of blend together. And yeah, just the idea of having monitors right up against my eyes does not fill me with much joy. So, don't really like the heavy focus on VR that the PlayStation experience had. 100-foot robot golf looked fun. That's a game that I'm all about. If they did a non-VR version, I'd be all over that. Hell yes. I'm not even joking, that looks like it'd be hilarious. But tell you what I am interested in. So Psychonauts 2, I didn't think that there would ever realistically be a sequel to Psychonauts. Well, there is now. Another game that I really liked. Wasn't ever really expecting a sequel to. It's getting a sequel. Ni no Kuni. It's getting a PS4 sequel. Ni no Kuni 2 is a real thing that got announced, and that makes me very happy. So far, though, no Welsh fairies. So, level 5, get your act together, because we need a Drippy. We absolutely need a Drippy. It doesn't need to be Drippy himself. I understand that you're doing different characters within the same world, that's fine. But, you know, there's a whole race of them, and they're all offensively Welsh. Put one of them as a sidekick. You know, it's what you want to do. Because it looks good, but it'd be proper tidy if he was in, or one of his people was in. I want my Welsh fairy. There's something you can take out of context and quote me on forever. I want my Welsh fairy. Anyway, so that's good. I'm happy to see Ni no Kuni 2. I'm very excited about that. Yeah, Ni no Kuni 2 and Psychonauts 2. So remember I said about the Final Fantasy VII Remake how I've been like very much opposed to the idea. And it's not because I dislike Final Fantasy VII, although part of that was me kind of being a bit of a hipster and going like, oh Final Fantasy VII isn't as good as you remember, and then I played Final Fantasy VII again and I was like, actually it's pretty good. So, but I'm sticking to my opinion that the remake is completely unnecessary. I mean, it's kind of interesting, but it's not really that necessary. Especially because the kind of people who were clamouring for a remake, I knew from the moment they were clamouring for their remake that, you know, if this ever happens, it's just gonna, like, not live up to your expectations and you're gonna hate it. First gameplay trailer of the Final Fantasy VII Remake came out. Looks like it's got an action-based battle system. Not sure what to think of it. Looking like it may be sort of similar to Kingdom Hearts or even Crisis Core, which I've not played, but people keep bringing that up, so I figure I'd mention it. But from what I've seen of Kingdom Hearts, I can definitely see the similarities. That's, of course, attracted massive amounts of criticism, because people are like, but where's the ATB system? They changed it. Why does Cloud look so scrawny? Why is Barrett wearing sunglasses? Why is Wedge's voice so stupid? And of course, when the news came out it was going to be episodic, why is it episodic? The first game wasn't episodic. Where's my free roam game? Not in Final Fantasy VII. It's a very linear game. Just it's open in its linearity. If that makes sense. Like, there's a thing about it. Beginning of the game, all the movements through Midgar are very limited. You're pretty much funneled along by the plot, and then once you leave the city, yeah, you've got the world map that you can explore, but how much can you explore? You can go to Calm, you can go to the Chocobo Ranch, or you can get eaten by the Zolom. That's your options. And you kind of have to go to those two places anyway, because you go to Calm and you get Cloud's backstory with Sephiroth, and you go to Chocobo Ranch and you get a Chocobo so you can run past the Zolom. And then you go through a linear cave, and then you're in the world map again, and then you can choose to go to Fort Condor, which is entirely optional, or you can go to Junon, which is where you have to go. But you can't go anywhere else. You can go back through the cave if you want. That's it. It's not really open world, is it? It's not free roaming. Even when you get the airship, it's like right at the end of the game. And yeah, people misremembering things. But anyway, people don't already complaining about the Final Fantasy VII remake and the directions it's taking, and I'm just like, told you. This is exactly what I knew would happen. I knew that you'd be like, I want exactly the same game, but prettier. That's what I knew people would be wanting, and I knew that that's not what we were going to get. And hey, look, I'm right. Maybe people should listen to me, and this is also why I'm right about VR being a fad. I was right about the Final Fantasy VII remake, I was right about Kinect, and I'm going to be right about VR. You watch, you heard it here first. Look, all I'm saying is, I will be happy with it if we get the Honeybee Inn scene in full. All of it. If we get to see Cloud as his pretty girl self, and you can wear the dress as an optional costume for the rest of the game, that's what I want. I don't care about anything else. That's literally all I want. At this point, I don't even know if I'm joking or if that's genuinely what I want. Like, I'm kind of like, whatever, to the remake. But if they do that, if they say, like, oh, you can wear a dress anytime you want after that sequence, I'll pay money. I'm not joking. I will pay Square Enix hard cash for the chance to just run around fighting Sephiroth in a dress. It's true. That's what I want that. I want to see the Honeybee Inn scene in full. Just because, like, I just know it'll just wind people up. Because I just know, like, oh yeah, here's this homoerotic scene in full HD. I just want to see how many nerds it'll piss off. Seriously. Cynical, yes, but I don't care. This is how I amuse myself. So, yeah. Final Fantasy VII Remake kind of looks like it might be interesting. Need to see a bit more of it. Probably want to... I'm not necessarily going to be on board of like, hey, I'm going to play that, but I might keep an eye on it. If it starts looking like it might be interesting as a game, why not? But it's not high on my list. Ni no Kuni 2, Psychonauts 2, they're high on my list. Gravity Rush 2, also high on my list. And a bunch of other stuff. Uncharted 4's got dialogue options, but no one cares. Like, this is the thing, Uncharted 4... I'm looking forward to Uncharted 4, but Jesus Christ, Sony, stop showing us every single little thing. I don't need to know every little thing about it before I play it. In fact, it's killing my interest in it the more you show. You know, keep that mystery and that sense of, ooh, you know, we got more stuff coming for you. Keep that going, because it keeps the excitement building. But if you just go straight up, here you go. Here is every sequence in the game. It's like, oh, well, we've seen it all now. Guess don't need to pay my money. So, but hey, still interested in it. Probably won't touch the multiplayer, because apparently it's got microtransactions in it. As long as it's not in the single player, it should be alright. But anyway, so that's this week. That's this week's Chatty Corner. Hope you've enjoyed this, and let me know what you thought of what I had to say this week. I'm sure that I've angered a few people this week, I don't know. My Final Fantasy VII talk. And probably something else, I don't know. Anyway, I will see you around. Bye!